And after the last time the KU played Kentucky last year, Kentucky walked away with an emphatic 72-40 blowout victory. This year's matchup, however, entirely different. On to the highlights we go. John Calipari returns to where he began his coaching career, ready to, quote, take the L in this one. Late in second half, KU up 1. Tyler Eulis slithers through the lane, finishes over the bigs, gives Kentucky a lead. Under a minute to go now. KU down 2, and it's Wayne Selden, bang, in the corner. He had himself a game. Next possession, Jamal Murray clutch pull up there. He puts Kentucky up 1, and after a Perry Ellis free throw and a Kentucky turnover, it's Frank Mason's chance to win the game with a heave from half court. And he almost drains it. That shot was inches away from going in, but we're going to overtime, and overtime was Wayne Selden time. He drives, finishes the one-handed jam with authority. That one's worth another look. You'll see this one on a poster real soon. And with this dunk, Wayne Selden goes over 1,000 career points as a Jayhawk, and Kansas goes on to win a thriller 90-84 in overtime. So with the win, Kansas improves to 17-4 overall. Wayne Selden's your player of the game with 33 points, a new career high for him, shooting 3 of 5 from downtown. And Frank Mason quietly put together a nice game for himself with 13 points, 4 assists, and 8 rebounds. Coach Self noticed the great offensive play.
I thought Wayne today was as smart offensively as maybe he's been all year because he didn't settle.
Well, the hottest ticket in Lawrence over the weekend was the Kansas-Kentucky bout, which certainly lived up to the considerable hype. For many students and fans, securing a seat in Allen Fieldhouse was no easy task, and some paid high prices to be in the building for the matchup. KUJH reporter Kirsten Peterson tells us just how much some fans were willing to spend.
For the Kansas versus Kentucky game tonight, general admission tickets were not even being sold. Tickets online were starting at $200 and going up to $3,000. Students were also selling their tickets to other students who didn't buy a student pass for $40, going up to $150.
Yeah, so I was abroad and forgot to redeem my tickets. So one of my sorority sisters was actually selling hers. So I messaged her, asked her if we could figure out a deal, and bought it from her, and we swapped tickets. I asked 4 others. They had either already had some money to sell their ticket to, or I just wasn't willing to pay $100 for it.
Some season ticket holders also saw this Kentucky game as a way to pay for the entire season itself.
I know there's 2 people that work, or I work, and they're patients at the clinic I work at, and they have season tickets here, and they sold their Kentucky game for these tickets because they made more money off this one ticket than they spent on the last 3 seasons of season tickets combined.
A couple $100 may sound like a lot to the average person, but to Kansas and Kentucky fans, they're willing to spend this much in order to attend the matchup between the 2 teams.
Probably a couple $100 for a ticket, yeah. I've always wanted to come here, and it's the perfect opportunity.
Finding a seat in Allen Fieldhouse was also a struggle for some KU students because even if they had the student sports package, that doesn't mean they're guaranteed a spot.
We had to save seats for like over 30 people because we had 30 people outside and we had a group of around 45. So there were some of us waiting in the GA line and we weren't even sure that we'd get in for sure. So it was pretty crazy.
Even though Allen Fieldhouse can hold up to 16,300 fans, for games like these, sometimes it's just not enough. Reporting for KUJH, I'm Kirsten Peterson.
Well, that's certainly more than I would be willing to pay. And the Kansas-Kentucky matchup was, of course, a part of a 10-game slate for Saturday's Big 12 SEC Challenge. And just like last year, the Big 12 once again came out on top. The Big 12 won the challenge 7-3, headlined by KU's thrilling overtime victory over Kentucky. Only 3 Big 12 teams came out on the losing end of the challenge. Iowa State, they fell to then 5th-ranked Texas A&M. West Virginia also dropped their game in blowout fashion to Florida, and Texas Tech fell in overtime on the road at Arkansas.
Well, another group of Wildcats come to the Fieldhouse Wednesday night, but this time it's Kansas State for the Lawrence edition of the Sunflower Showdown.
We are playing our in-state rival, and they beat us last year at their place, and we have put ourselves in a situation where we have very little margin for error in league race, things like this. So I can't imagine that everybody wouldn't be amped to be a part of this on Wednesday.
Taking a little closer look at this matchup now, the Jayhawks have the clear advantage on offense, averaging 84 points per game, good enough for 13th best in all of college basketball, while the Wildcats average a much more modest 72 points per contest. Teams both play tough defense, with KU allowing 70 points per game and K-State giving up just under 67. And some players to keep an eye on in this one. Senior forward Perry Ellis averages over 16 points a game, and Wildcat forward Wesley Iwundu averaging a team high of just over 12 points per contest. Tip-off for this one will be at 8 o'clock, and you can watch all the action on ESPNU.
And with the loss earlier in the week, Kansas dropped 3 spots in this week's AP Men's Top 25 poll. They dropped down to number 7 in the nation. And the Jayhawks went 1-1 last week, as I said. In Ames, it's a thriller, but, Kentucky in Allen Fieldhouse kind of makes up for it. The Big 12 has 5 teams ranked in the top 15 this week, headlined by Oklahoma, still at number 1, and Iowa State, West Virginia, and Baylor are ranked 13th, 14th, and 15th, respectively. Kentucky remains ranked 20th after its close loss on Saturday, and for the first time in more than 8 years, the Duke Blue Devils have dropped out of the top 25.
And James Naismith's original rules of basketball finally came back to their permanent home on Saturday. A halftime presentation at Center Court saw the rules officially return to their original home. David Booth, a KU alum, purchased the rules for $3.8 million in 2010, kickstarting the process that eventually landed them back in Lawrence on Saturday.
It was a busy weekend for KU basketball, and it's not going to stop. We're in the middle of Big 12 season.
No, we're kicking right back into the swing of things. Sunflower Showdown on Wednesday. Going to be fun to watch.
It's great. Great part of the